Esta é a análise arquitetural aprofundada sobre a adoção do digital nesta semana, em que vamos além das manchetes para examinar os padrões arquiteturais que moldam a transformação digital. Este episódio foca na redefinição distribuída de capacidades no domínio estratégico e em como isso está gerando pressão em inteligência artificial e cibersegurança. Eu sou o Dr. Darren. Vamos à análise. Today, the signal is clear. Transformation has become a distributed reset. Leaders must decide where capability lives, who owns it, and how it scales in the real world. You see it when an edge project moves ahead in one unit, but stalls because it depends on the corporate core. You see it when AI works in the pilot, but fails in a factory, in a vehicle fleet, or in field service. And you see it when security arrives too late, after the design is already locked. In government, that creates direct risk to services, contracts, and public trust. In companies, it creates cost, delay, and fragmentation across teams. The point now is not to buy more tools. It is to align architecture, decision rights, and how work changes. Next, we will show how this reset changes priorities, governance, and the pace of execution. Sob essa pressão, o padrão fica claro. Esta semana, o acesso da Anthropic ao órgão europeu de cibersegurança, a pressão sobre a edge para depender de backbones centrais e a chegada de chips de IA para ambientes robóticos apontaram para a mesma virada. A capacidade deixou de morar no centro. Agora, ela está distribuída entre sites, sistemas e equipes. Isso deixa a decisão corporativa mais lenta e mais arriscada. Aprovação, operação e controle deixam de andar juntos. Cada nova implantação exige mais integrações, exige mais revisão de risco e traz mais retrabalho entre segurança, infraestrutura e negócio. A leitura do arquiteto é direta. Esse padrão mexe com decision rights. Quem financia, quem valida e quem responde precisa de definição explícita, porque aborda a IA física e a governança não funcionam bem por acordo informal. Para sua equipe, isso aparece quando um piloto funciona no laboratório, mas trava na fábrica, no veículo ou no serviço de campo. A entrega existe, a escala não fecha, e a transformação perde ritmo, porque o trabalho real continua preso a aprovações em série. Você pode pensar que isso é só um problema de ferramentas. Não é. É um problema de decisão e de modelo operacional. A segurança também entrou no desenho desde o começo, e a transformação humana ficou mais visível nas discussões sobre IA no trabalho e liderança centrada em pessoas. Speed without decision rights becomes fragmentation. This is an organizational problem. In this domain, you decide where capability lives and how it creates value. Strategy must define which capabilities stay at the edge, which remain in the core, and which should operate as shared services. It must also define who funds the work, who approves it, and who is accountable when AI moves beyond the pilot, into the factory, the vehicle, or field service. And it must define what success looks like, because moving faster is not enough. If operations still depend on the center, this is a shift in the stakes. When leaders get this wrong, the impact spreads across several areas at once. In edge computing, local sites stall when they depend on central storage, connectivity, and backbone capacity. In artificial intelligence, models work in the lab, then fail in the physical world. In cybersecurity, protection arrives too late and becomes expensive cleanup. In digital transformation, work does not change as fast as technology, so value never shows up. The problem is not buying another platform. This is not primarily a tooling issue. Leaders should focus on decision rights, investment priorities, and success criteria. They need to fit a distributed operating reality that keeps transformation moving, because it aligns architecture, governance, and workforce change with the mission, instead of chasing every new feature in isolation. Essa pressão aparece de forma clara na IA. Nesta semana, a IA saiu do laboratório. Ela entrou em robôs, máquinas e trabalho diário. Novos chips foram anunciados para ambientes físicos, e a adoção prática avançou para equipes que agora tentam usar IA no ritmo do serviço real. Ao mesmo tempo, surgiu outro sinal importante. Segurança e governança começaram a olhar esses sistemas mais cedo, porque o risco já não fica só no software central. O primeiro ponto de ruptura é a aprovação. O piloto cresce, mas a validação fica presa entre produto, infraestrutura e negócio. Depois, vem a fragmentação. Cada área cria seu próprio fluxo, e a responsabilidade pelo resultado se espalha. Isso aparece quando uma solução parece forte no teste, mas perde tração na fábrica, no veículo ou no atendimento de campo. E isso não é apenas um problema tecnológico. Os domínios ODX ficam pressionados juntos. O estratégico define onde a IA cria valor em operação distribuída. O organizacional define quem responde quando a tecnologia cruza equipes. O processual define como o trabalho muda no dia a dia. O físico, ou hardware, impõe energia, latência e confiabilidade. E o digital, ou software, precisa integrar sistemas legados e novos pontos de execução. A lição arquitetural é contraintuitiva. A maioria otimiza o modelo e a interface, mas a restrição real é operar fora do centro. Se a localização da inteligência ficar indecisa, a escala falha antes da adoção se consolidar. Por isso, vale usar um Capability Model para estabilizar isso. Ele define onde a IA vive, quem financia e quem responde pelo resultado. Sem isso, a empresa acumula experimentos. Não acumula tração. Aprovação em série. Ownership fragmentado. Latência operacional. This pressure shows up directly in security. This week made that very clear. A European agency gained supervisory access to an AI system. At the same time, experts warned that connected cars collect sensitive data, and new storage chips were introduced for stronger defense use. Put simply, security has moved beyond the traditional perimeter. It now lives inside products, AI, and hardware. The first thing that breaks is approval. When risk, data, and control are scattered, reviews slow down. Work moves into a queue. Then fragmentation sets in. Each team creates exceptions. Responsibility spreads across product, engineering, and operations. In your environment, this appears when a connected project moves through pilot. Then it stalls when risk must be signed off for scale. You might treat this as a purely technical issue. It is not. Strategically, the problem is unclear risk tolerance. Organizationally, ownership turns into a dispute. From a process view, control arrives too late. On the physical side, sensors, chips, and data retention change the attack surface. On the digital side, integrations and telemetry widen exposure beyond the center. The architectural lesson is counterintuitive. Most teams optimize detection tools. The real constraint is who can authorize exposure. If the security line is not decided, trust breaks before scale takes hold. A compliance boundary helps stabilize that. It separates what can operate, what needs review, and who signs the risk. A pressão aparece no edge primeiro. This week sent a clear signal. A European architecture moved ahead. Its goal is to connect computing power across sites. At the same time, a military cloud program tightened rules. The aim was to reduce ambiguity. And the edge repeated a hard message. The local site does not solve this alone. The reporting showed something important. Data centers still carry storage, connectivity, and the heavier load. The first thing that breaks is scale. Local pilots can grow, but the foundation stalls once backbone, shared storage, and cross-site coordination enter the picture. The queue gets longer. Every branch asks for an exception. After that, ownership starts to fragment. For your team, this shows up fast. A remote plant or branch wants quick response, but it depends on a center nobody redesigned for that job. You might see this as a purely technical problem. It is not. Strategically, the company has to decide where the edge creates distributed value. Organizationally, no one owns the common mesh. Process suffers because approvals and responsibilities spread out. Physical infrastructure suffers because latency, power, and reliability shape the design. Digital software suffers because integrations and core services stay in the way. The architectural lesson is counterintuitive. Most teams optimize the local node. The real constraint is the dependency between node, core, and operational governance. If the edge's role is not decided, expansion fails before standardization can turn scattered sites into repeatable capacity. A reference architecture can stabilize this. It sets the common pattern. It also reduces variation across sites. Fragmented backbone, approval queues, integration latency. Across these pillars, the same trade-off keeps showing up. This week, Europe opened supervisory access to an AI system. At the same time, data centers were back at the center of distributed edge strategy. And digital transformations kept stalling when work and roles did not change with them. You may feel that already, as approvals slow in your own portfolio. The pattern is simple. It is speed versus assurance. If you push local delivery without clear decision rights, the enterprise gets motion, but it loses coherence. You might think this is only a tooling problem. It is not. It is a governance problem. It is an operating model problem. The anti-pattern is capability without decision rights. It shows up when every team speeds up its own piece, but nobody defines ownership, boundaries, or control objectives. One article showed AI oversight entering regulatory review. Another showed edge expansion exposing shared backbone dependencies. Both revealed the same fracture line. In your portfolio, that fracture becomes pilots that look healthy and fail at scale. Then the team adds exceptions, and those exceptions become the real architecture. It is easy to recognize in practice. A plant launches a connected service. Security signs off late. Operations absorb the delay. The launch slips even though the code is ready. This is not a capability failure. It is a decision failure. Leaders restore momentum by fixing decision rights first. Architects stabilize ownership, boundaries, and operating cadence first. Given that pattern, 3 choices stand out for leaders. For your team, the moment calls for clear boundaries and a shared cadence. Either treat edge as part of enterprise architecture or keep funding site-by-site exceptions. The result is stark. A centralized backbone, storage, and connectivity start working as one. Local pilots stop becoming stranded islands. This is not just a hardware question. It is a decision about ownership and operating reach. Major telecom scale rollouts and the European One Architecture effort both point that way. Either define AI and security decision rights at design time or accept review after deployment. When that choice is made early, approvals line up with control objectives. Late security gates stop slowing launches after the code is ready. For your team, that changes the daily rhythm of delivery. A plant team launches a connected service. Security review arrives too late. The launch slips, even though the software works. Either measure transformation by deployed tools or measure it by changed work. The difference matters. Workflow adoption improves, role clarity improves, process stability improves, and portfolios stop accumulating half-used capabilities. You probably recognize the pattern. Progress looks strong in slides, then stalls in operations. The BBC report on workforce transition and the transformation articles point to that failure mode. This is not a capability failure. It is a decision failure. Leaders restore momentum by fixing decision boundaries first. That keeps distributed capability from turning into distributed confusion. Stepping back, the pattern is clear. Distributed capability now exposes weak decision rights, not weak technology. Architects carry the job of setting boundaries and driving alignment. It may look like another rollout problem. It is really a governance problem. A plant team can build the service, then wait for late security approval, and the launch still slips. For your next steering meeting, name the owner, the control boundary, and the operating cadence. Next week, that same discipline will matter again. Isso conclui o Deep Dive arquitetural desta semana. Se você gostou deste episódio, por favor, nos dê 5 estrelas na sua plataforma favorita ou no YouTube. E, se quiser ir mais além, junte-se à nossa comunidade no Patreon e procure por Embracing Digital. Até a próxima. Eu sou o Dr. Darren. Continue fazendo perguntas difíceis e continue abraçando a revolução digital.